Hello, everybody, and welcome along to week 13 of the iRacing Indy Pro 2000 Championship. And we're here at the glorious Nürburgring. What a spectacular venue we have a race for you today. We're not on the Grand Prix circuit, as you can see here. We are actually on the circuit that's behind that bridge right there. We're on the Nordschleife, and this is going to be a really intriguing race for you today. Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Smith. Alongside me, as always, here on Friday Prime Time, is Mr. Ryan Walker. And Ryan, we're in week 13 of the series, and, we've finally made it to the end of the season.
Yeah, it's amazing to think that we're already at the last week of the season, and the season just flew by. And I think tonight it's going to be a great way to round out the season around such a fantastic track such as the Nordschleife. And I think, judging by the 60 Plus Adventures broadcast, we should be in for a fantastic race.
Yeah, absolutely. So Racebot TV, we broadcasted the 60 Plus Racing Adventures season finale from this very venue. So we've got a bit of a preview of what we can expect here tonight. Plenty of action can be had, but also this track is unforgiving. I mean, Jackie Stewart coined the phrase "green hell," and it lives up to its name, especially in a single-seater car around here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with this Indy Pro 2000 car as well, it should be really close around here, and especially when you've got that back straight, the Dorton Hope, it should make for some interesting slipstream battles, and I think that could be the deciding factor if it's about a close battle up at the front. But you never know with the Nordschleife, it can either make your race or break your race.
Absolutely. Now, a couple of the key points around this track is definitely going to be the two carousels, the main carousel and then the Kleiner carousel towards the end of the lap, because with this being a low-slung single-seater car, if you fall out of that groove, Ryan, all of a sudden it acts like a canoe and you end off into the barrier.
Yep, and it's another factor around this track as well. It's really, you've not got any, like, say at the other tracks with loads of runoff, you've not got any of that around here in the Nordschleife. If you make a mistake, you've got nowhere to go except a journey into the barrier.
Well, where you see track conditions up on screen at the moment, this 12.8 mile, 154 turn course. That's right, 154 turns here. We're not using the Grand Prix loop, we're just purely on the Nordschleife Industriefahrten layout of this track. Don't forget, live timing and scoring is available. Racebot.tv/timing too. You can see it at the bottom of that graphic there, as you can see on screen right now. So if you do want to keep up to date with everything happening here. Now, a different one for today's race, Ryan, is that they don't actually do qualifying before the start of the race. We just go from practice straight into the race here.
Indeed, and but it's not like other rounds this season where the qualifying's in the same session as a practice or the race rather. It's the qualifying separate just because the track is so long, and it means that you don't really get a chance to have qualifying in the same session, so they've separated it for this week, and I think it's a good thing. It gives the drivers gives them a chance to set a lap time, and they're not having to rush around.
Certainly not. So these drivers, they are going to be pushing to the limit, and we've got a big grid here as well. 24 cars are on the grid for you today. So everybody, hold on to your hats, because this is certainly going to be exciting. Cold tyres will be an issue for these drivers as well at the start of the race, but we'll get ready now to switch over to the race session. Rolling starts here as well. Don't forget that in this series. So the drivers will line up on the Dottinger Höhe, and this is how they line up on the grid. And it's going to be Paul Costa who leads the grid away ahead of Oysen Walsh in second place. Suelia Almeida, third place ahead of Severi Sapa in fourth place. Ross Woodford, who we have seen as such a specialist in this car, 5th place. Now, the lap times, by the way, you may think, 1.4 seconds, that's a big gap. It's not around here. John McCutcheon, Dominic Gross, and Jordan Kelly round out row number 4. Row 5 then for Martin Arnoldus ahead of Philip Lauer, James Clay and Anna Medema. Row number 6 for them. Row 7 for Sean Malloy, waking up early for this one from Australia. Jean-Michel Noyan from France ahead of Paul Ilbrink and Nate Olsen. Behind them then Fabio Berthold and Frank Nguyen with Phil Reed and Mitchell Ian Green rounding out row 10. 2 more rows to go here on the grid. Samuel Ryman and Jetil Larsen ahead of Eric De Silva and Jack Hobbs rounding out your 24-car grid. You can see the drivers pulling away. Some of them are going to be choosing to do a bit of weaving, some not. Ryan, just very quickly, you've raced this car, not around here, but you've raced this car a lot. How tricky is it on this opening lap?
Well, with the latest tyre model and the cold tyres in the opening laps, especially around this track, these drivers are going to have to be very, very careful and not overdrive the car per se, but it's kind of just be careful, let the tyres get up to temperature. But also with the field being so bunched up as well, they're going to have to be very careful, because if any of these drivers make a mistake, really you've got nowhere to go except into the other car or try and take avoidance as we're just about to come up to the final corner to get underway.
Yep, Tiergarten then. The safety car pulls off to the right. Green flag is in the air. And away we go then for the start of this one. Heading down to Hatzenbach for the first time. Are they all going to make it through nice and cleanly? So far, so good. We've got 3 drivers starting from the pit lane. Samuel Ryman and Frank Nguyen are now back out from the pits. And Paul Ilbrink actually hasn't taken the start, which is unfortunate for him. And so, anyway, drivers working their way through the S's then. And tricky right-hander here. The curbs are so difficult around this track, especially in this car, but we're now heading towards Flugplatz for the first time. These cars, they don't really take off. They get close, but they don't really take off here through Flugplatz, the right-hander. And then along down towards the back section of this straight. But look at this, Alameda and Walsh side by side into Schreidenkrautz for the first time, and that is going to be Almeida then up into second place as they go through Arnberg for the first time here, Ryan.
Yeah, that was a bit of a risky move by Suelio to make that move into second place, but he got the run on Walsh, and Walsh didn't decided not to make a big deal of it as we're only on lap 1, but yeah, especially these curves as well. Some of them are really high, so you can't really clip them or throw the car over them, as it looks like we've had an issue.
Yeah, Sean Malloy is this. Oh, this is down at Arnberg. Oh, and into the barrier then. He's got his braking all sorts of wrong there. Rips off the front suspension. We'll get another look at this on board here, Ryan. But this is so easy to do. You concentrate so much on Schreidenkrautz, and then Arnberg suddenly comes up on you.
Absolutely, and it's one of those corners that's so easily to carry more speed than expected or you want to do, but it looks like Sean just got caught out. He just went offline a little bit, lost grip, and then from then on he was just a passenger.
As the driver's plunging downhill, down into the bottom of the valley here, as they head on down, we're going to be heading towards Exmüller very shortly. In towards Exmüller now, and you can see the leader just slowly just pulling away slightly. The slipstream though is worth so much around this track down these long high-speed sections as they head on through towards the Lauda left here. So of course Niki Lauda had his fateful accident. And then the right at Bergwerk before they then head on up towards Kesselchen. And then the Mutt curve or Bravery corner. But these drivers, they're all behaving themselves. We've only lost one car so far. Dominic Gross and Jordan Kelly you see on screen. And you'll see this slipstream now, Ryan. This slipstream is worth so much up this hill.
Yeah, it's taking effect now, and it looks like Dominic's got the run, and he tries to get alongside, but this is a section that you don't want to go too wide in, or you can, but it takes a bit of bravery and a bit of brave pulse.
Well, it's called Bravery Corner for a reason, but you've also got to have a bit of compliance between the two of you as well, if you go side by side through there. Also, Walsh back up into second place ahead of Suelia Almeida. Ross Woodford is right there with him. Oh, and Noyon, we've had an issue for Noyon and for Phil Reed as well. Noyon is back in the pits. Phil Reed is back up and running, but he's running slowly. Hopefully we'll get a replay of what's happened to them. I saw it on my timing screen. Oh, and you see, this is where they're going too wide through Bravery Corner. And then this right-hander here is so difficult. It's tighter than you think, but it's flat out in these cars. And they've had the accident in the brow of the hill. And fair credit to everyone else for avoiding that one, Ryan, because that was a big instant contact between the two of them.
Absolutely, and everyone. Yeah, one of the cars, Noyon, was stuck in the middle of the track, and it was basically everyone had to avoid an accident. But as you say, they've done well to avoid him, and big credit to him.
Yeah, and very quick on the exit escape key, should I say, from Noyon, as we take one final look. Hopefully, we'll get a bit of a better look than that. So he's let one car through, but there's contact, bang into the wall. He's lost a wheel and he thinks, nope, I'm noping out of this one. I'm getting out of there. So we'll come back to live pictures then. And you can see Woodford, Almeida and Walsh. They've separated out into a little bunch. They've just gone through the Beloff S. So they're already heading towards the end of the lap here, Ryan, because we're heading towards the second of the carousels. The Kleiner carousel is the next left-hander, John McCutchinson. And watch the line here. You've got to keep it low down. Don't get it up over the edge of that. And it's so easy to lose the back end coming up over the top as they head towards Galgenkopf.
Absolutely, as we ride on board with Mick Hutchison, and as we come into this long straight now, and this is where the slipstream will come into effect now. Just looking at the gap between Seppa and Mick Hutchison, and that gap will start to decrease just due to the nature of the slipstream. Well,
second place is side by side. Almeida heads to the front of that one. Your leader is 2.7 seconds ahead. McCutchinson has made a move. Now look at this double draft here for Ross Woodford, but so is Oyster Walsh as well. They're going to go side by side. The problem with this straight is if you get that slipstream and do that move too early, the other car that you've just overtaken can then come back at you. It's that long is that straight.
It is, and it's one of those things. It's kind of a strategy game in a way on that straight. You want to, what I do anyway, is try and wait as long as possible and wait until the very last second or close to the end of the straight to pull out and they make a move. But Suelio he managed to hold the position. He's pretty much been the form man towards the end of the season. But Ross Woodford has made a return to the series after missing a few races, I think, and he's not lost any of his pace.
Absolutely, as they head on down. We have finished one lap. We're on to lap 2 right now. And we're heading through this right, then the left. Don't expect me to pronounce all the names around here, by the way. I am a Yorkshireman after all, so you get what you're given. But we can tell you this next corner, Floodplatz, you see, come up over the rise, the car goes light. But these cars, they've got enough downforce to keep it absolutely flat out. Down through here, through Cottonbon, heading towards Schradenkrautz once again. And these drivers just working together in a queue. No moves being made at the moment. But Woodford, you can just see that little bit of understeer in the car. He's in the slipstream. And it's just struggling. Oh, the car in front, Walsh, just clipping that curb on the inside. And these curbs are mean around here for a GT car, let alone a single-seater.
Yeah, with the GT cars, you can attack the curbs more just because there's more weight in GT cars, so there's not going to be any moving around. But with the single-seater cars being lighter and also just a little bit more fragile, you could say. You've kind of got to be more careful with the curbs. You can't really just attack them, just because if you take too much curb, it'll unsettle the car and it'll spit you into the wall or just spin you around.
To give you your standings at the moment, it is Pau Costa who is leading this one.
Costa's in the wall.
What, Costa, yes, he's in the wall, he's out the race. This is sensation, just as I'm mentioning that he's the race leader. He's in the wall, all on his own this. He's got nobody with him. And was this going to be a case of just touching the grass heading into that left-hander? Because it's so easily done, is that mistake. Here we go. Have a look, see what happens. It's flat out through that left, onto the brakes. Oh, he's braking too late, and he's in the wall.
Yep, and that has basically just proved my point about the Nordschleife. If you make a mistake around here, it'll punish you. And unfortunately, Costa found it out and just whacked the wall, and unfortunately got big damage.
So all of a sudden, you've now got a battle for the lead rather than second place between Almeida, Walsh and Woodford. We're on the replay at the moment. I'm sure we'll look. Yeah, there you go. There's the race leader heading into the wall. There's this battling pack go past him. We've also lost Martin Arnoldas as well. And, well, this is becoming a bit of a car breaker. By the way, just for information, Paul Ilbrink has made it back into the races. Here we go. Battle for second place is ongoing, and Woodford is ahead of Walsh. But these two need to work together to keep with Almeida up in front.
They do indeed. That's one of the things with this track as well. You can't afford to scrap them once they have a battle and let someone else in front of you get away, because if they get away and build up a big enough gap, it means you can't stay in the slipstream and you can't get by them on that long back straight. But again, Woodford and Walsh have closed right up to Almeida as they head down to the carousel.
Yep, so through the carousel. These three at the front. Part of this race is a race of attrition. It's about keeping in the race, but also you've got to try and pick and choose where you make those moves, because when you get to this part of the track, there aren't really any places to overtake around here. You just got to stay in line, keep as close to the car in front of you as possible, and then make the move heading towards the Dottingerhohe, or indeed on the Dottingerhohe itself.
Absolutely, and it's kind of around this section anyway, like you can't make a move. You've just got to basically stay behind the car in front of you and just wait and just play the pacing game as we ride out on the back of the rear of Swelly Armida, looking back at Woodford and Walsh. And I don't think Woodford or Walsh will let Armida get away that easy. I think especially Ross Woodford, they know how quick he can be, but also on the other hand, he can be at times a bit aggressive.
He can be, but I think he realises that this is a long race. He just holds back that little bit. Through the right, then up over the crest, left again over a blind crest, drop downhill into the Beloff S. You can see the amount of movement in that steering wheel. On board with Almeida, your race leader, head onto the brakes and through into the left-hander. Kleiner carousel coming up. Get that corner hooked up nicely. You can carry some good speed out the corner. Almeida but getting a little bit squirrely out of there, but that's what can happen when you come out of that cambered part of the track there, Ryan. It can spit the car up and make you lose the back end.
It can, and I think Swelly was absolutely pushing as well. He knows he's under pressure from Woodford and Walsh, but looking back at the rear from Almeida's car, Woodford's got the run, but will he pull out now or wait until the very last second to pull out and make a move? No, he's gone for a move straight away. Yeah, he's gone now. There's Walsh in the background just hanging around, seeing what happens between these two. See on board then, he is slowly... Is he gaining on them? Not really. He's not carrying the same amount of speed. Woodford and Almeida once again side by side heading into Tiergarten. This is the end of lap 2 of a 6-lap race.
onto the brakes. There's a nasty bump in that left-hander there. You've got to be careful that it doesn't spit you into the wall. Through the right at the end of the lap once again. And now heading to Hatzenbach for the third lap, started with lap 3 of this race. There's more than just this battle at the front, it must be said, but this has been giving us some enthralling racing. Racebot.tv/timing2, and that's the number 2 at the end of that. If you want to keep up to date with everything going on here, Jordan Kelly and Severi Seppa are battling it out for 6th and 7th place. I've of course can also see on my timing screen John McCutcheon and Dominic Grosser together as well for 4th and 5th place, and Nate Olsen and Philip Lauer further down your order in 10th and 11th. There's McCutcheon then in that 4th place ahead of Dominic Gross. So as I say, action all the way through, and Yetil Larsen is onto pit road getting some repairs. So too is Jack Hobbs. He's onto pit road as well. So a couple of visitors down onto the pit straight, but race lead, and it's Almeida to the front. But right now, if you're Ross Woodford here, Ryan, you're not overly concerned about that.
It's not really a big concern around here. I think Woodford's just more than happy to let Almeida go and just wait behind him until the daughter holds to make a move again. And so that the top 3 are still close together, and I think Woodford just decided not to make a big deal of it. It's still early in the race as it come up now. As Almeida gets a bit sideways over the curb.
Yeah, you got to be careful on that curb into Adenauer Forest. Through the right-hander, getting the power. You can see Woodford getting the power down, getting the back twitching out as well. McCutcheon and Gross have switched positions whilst all that was going on. So they are switching spots, but in towards the braking zone once again. Look at how much speed Woodford is carrying into that left-hander there. Oh, well, you've seen something, Ryan.
Yeah, I was just watching Woodford. He clipped the grass ever so slightly and just got sideways, and I thought he was going to spin into the wall for a minute, but he'd done well to hold it. Apologies, Paul.
No, it's okay. If you see something, you call it. But yeah, downhill once again. This is the trickiest corner on the track right here. It's downhill braking. You're always turning. The inside left wheel locks up and actually lifts off the ground. Is how tight and slow that is. On board with Walsh. Left, get onto the power, brake, right, uphill towards the louder left, once again, and then Bergwerk is the right-hander that you need to carry the speed out of. Compromise your line into it and your speed into it to get the line out of the corner. Try not to use the curb on the outside too much, or else it does unsettle the car a little bit. These 3 have spread out a little bit. However, Woodford is in the prime spot right now to look at making some moves on Almeida at the front there, Ryan.
Absolutely, and maybe I think Walsh is maybe just hanging back, just waiting for see what is it? Woodford's going for the lead, and he's just about got the move done as they come into Bravery Corner, and Woodford into the lead again.
Yeah, it's going to be like this all the way through the race if these 2 or these 3 stick together like this, and it'll certainly give us a real show-stopping finish towards the end of the race here. So that's why we're not getting overly excited on commentary about each and every move for the lead, because, well, you've seen it. There's multiple changes for the lead on each lap as they head on through the carousel, out of that corner, back up to speed, heading towards Hohe Acht, the right-hander that they're going to be coming to very shortly indeed. In fact, it's this right-hander here. And then get it down to 3rd gear for this one. Back up to speed again. 4th, 5th gear. Keep it in 5th into this one. You can keep it flat then. A little bit of braking through the left, through the right. You can use that curb on the inside. Watch the curb on the outside, however. And Woodford looks to be trying to make a breakaway here, Ryan.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I've noticed that Woodford's building up a bit of a gap now, and Almeida seems to be struggling a little bit, and he's under attack now from Oyce and Walsh.
Yeah, Walsh putting the pressure on Almeida. Now, if Walsh has got similar pace to Woodford, he'll want to get past Almeida as quickly as possible. Almeida is under threat of losing the slipstream here. In fact, I think he has, because he's 1.4 seconds behind right now. Walsh putting the pressure on Almeida, and I think this could potentially be a crucial point of this race, because Woodford is making a breakaway at the front of the field here. Almeida and Walsh second and third, battling it out. Walsh looking to try and make some moves before the Tatagahua. That's not really on there into that right-hander. Up to 2 seconds already. So these two battling here, Ryan, is slowing each other down.
It is, and I think Almeida's either... I said he might be struggling, but I think he's feeling slightly rattled as well, because Oyce and Walsh is just, every time he tries to try and make a move, Almeida is just, I think, overdriving. And like I say, he's just rattled at the minute, just making some silly mistakes, and it's allowed Woodford to pull away.
And here comes Walsh then. I think he's gone a little bit too early here as Walsh. As behind, you can see the drivers behind. They're not too far away as 4th, 5th and 6th. Let's not count them out of this one yet. They're still within touching distance if there's a mistake or two in front of them. There's McCutcheon pulling out further behind. Walsh has got in front of Almeida, and Almeida is not really gaining much speed on Walsh. I think Almeida has got some floor damage.
That was what I was thinking as well. I wonder if he's maybe took too much curb, or if it's just the way if he's went over one of the many jumps, and just the way the car's hit the ground, he might have got floor damage, and it's costing some straight line speed, and also in a way affecting the handling.
Absolutely. End of lap 3. We're at the halfway point of this race. It's Ross Woodford in the lead, ahead of Oyster Walsh in second place, and Suelia Almeida third place. Dominic Gross, there you see, in a battle with Jordan Kelly and John McHutchinson. You can see the top 18 on the left-hand side of your screen. Severi Seppa is in 7th, ahead of James Clay in 8th. 9th for Anne Medema, with Mitchell Green in 10th place. Philip Lauer, 11th, is involved in a battle with Green for Daniel Roder. Fabio Berthold, Eric De Silva, Frank Goyen, who has been involved in a little bit of shenanigans earlier on. Larson, Hobbs, they've both been in the pits. Samuel Ryman started from the pits. Jean-Michel Naon has been on pit road. He is still running, and Paul Ilbrink is a lap down, but is running. He missed the start of the race, but here's the battle for that 4th place. Dominic Gross, Jordan Kelly, side by side as they're heading into Schradenkrautz once again. And it is Kelly up to the head of that field. But look at Mitch Hutchinson. We've seen how aggressive he can be the whole season here, Ryan. He's wanting a piece of the action now.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not afraid to get stuck in, as John, and yeah, he's trying to get stuck in right now, and in front of, he's trying to gain another position as well. But down this section of the Nordschleife, you can't really make a move, so you've basically just got to wait behind.
Yeah, as they're heading into Adenauer Forest once again. Tricky corner is this one, as Kelly runs wide in that left. That's compromised his line for the exit of this corner, the right, heading on through, flat out through this next left-hander. McHutchinson keeping his foot planted. Then you'll onto the brakes, down to 3rd gear for the left. Avoid the curbs around this section, because it will kick you up and send you off. 2nd gear down through here, get the exit, flat out. 4th gear into 5th for the left and the right. Miss hit miss coming up. Look at the speed that McHutchinson carries into that corner, and then get it slowed right down. Look at that inside left tyre. It'll stop rotating if he... he's actually managing his braking. He does a lot better than me on Tuesday night when I was racing this track. I was constantly locking up the wheel there. But as they head on down towards Exmuller once again, and they'll be heading through the right towards the Lauda Links. And Ryan, you can see... patriotic is John, but he's just sitting there waiting patiently.
He is, and he's been left behind a little bit, but I think he's just realising that they've still got 2 laps remaining in this race, and maybe just pacing himself, just waiting to see what happens. And maybe try and close back up to these two guys in front of him, because at the moment he seems to be he's just attacking every corner and carrying more speed. So it might make the difference around this section. He might be able to close the gap back up into braking.
Now, having 2 laps or 2.5 laps, I'd say it's about at the moment when you get to this section. 2.5 laps, that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but when you've got 22.8 kilometres per lap, you've got plenty of time left in this one. There's still plenty of racing to happen in this one before the race is up. Almeida is actually getting reeled in here by Jordan Kelly. So third place could be on the offer for Kelly here, yeah?
Yeah, Kelly's having a great race at the moment, and he's not been doing anything too dramatic. He's just sitting there having a quiet race and just letting the race come to him. And at the moment, he's been rewarded with a 4th place. But I think if he closes right up to Armida, he could be in contention for a podium by the looks of it.
Dominic Gross 5th, John McCutcheon 6th as they come through the right tricky track, tricky section of the track. They're single file really through here. As I say, you can use that right curb there. Don't go over the exit curb though; it will unsettle your car. Avoid that curb there on the right. You can basically say avoid all of the curbs bar 1 or 2 around this track, especially in this car. Plunge downhill. You can run over that exit curb there. Right, back uphill again. This has always been a tricky corner because the car always wants to understeer. It's tighter than you imagine it is there, Ryan, but you're heading towards the Beloff S here.
Absolutely, and I'm just watching Mick Hutchinson and Dominic Grove as well, and Mick Hutchinson has managed to close that gap back down, and he's just absolutely pushing at the moment, and just about runs wide onto the grass, and that was a scary moment.
So there was, as they're heading on down. Walsh is slowly pulling away from Almeida, and Kelly is up to the gearbox of Suelio Almeida, so he is putting the pressure on now, and you would imagine that Almeida is going to be a sitting duck down the Dottinger Hohe. Once again, on board with Kelly, in towards the right-hander of Galgenkopf. Look at the speed that Kelly's carrying. Almeida is all sorts of out of shape. Down the Dottinger Hohe, and I think Almeida realises that the jig is up and he is losing that position. It's a matter of damage limitation right now, as McCutcheon has dropped a little bit further back than Gross, so he's not going to be making any moves. Almeida is trying as he may to get past, but he's not gaining the time, the speed that he's only gaining about half a kilometre being in the draft there. So that tells you just how much damage there is to the underside of that car.
Yeah, he was just...
behind. Sorry to cut you off there, Ryan. McCutcheon up into 5th place.
Yeah, that's not a problem. And Almeida just seems... Yeah, so it's like if they got the battle for P1, or they've kind of got a battle for P1, but the gap at the moment, it's about 2.1 seconds between Ross Woodward and Oyson Walsh. Yeah,
so that gap has come down about a second. Last lap, I could tell you, Ross Woodford did a 6 minutes 24.814. Oyson Walsh a 6 minutes 24.094. So he was about 7/10 of a second, just under 7/10 of a second quicker than Ross Woodford at the front of the field. But he needs more than that. He needs to get within a second of Woodford in front to get that slipstream again. Once he gets that slipstream, he'll be able to really charge in and get behind Ross Woodford at the lead there, Ryan.
Yeah, I think Ross Woodford's... I think he's just maintaining the gap at the moment and just making sure he doesn't do anything too silly. He's not overdriving, but Oyson Walsh, at the moment, he's just basically... If I was him, you've just got to push like crazy every corner and right until the last lap, because Ross Woodford, he's pretty quick in this car, like we mentioned before, and I think he's just... protecting that gap, but Oyson Walsh closes that gap ever so slightly under braking.
McCutcheon ahead of Dominic Gross. They went side by side through Schadenkraut. Good commitment between both of them, good cooperation between both of them as well, as the head plunged downhill towards compression. Here it is, the bottom of the hill. The car actually loses a ton of speed and revs. When you hit that compression, it just scrapes along the floor, loses you some speed and time. And then back uphill, Adnar Forrest once again. And Grosser just falling into line for the moment, waiting for his next opportunity, which will be out of Bergwerk and up towards Mutkirv.
Absolutely, and I have to say, Mick Hutchison, he's pretty much impressed me in this race. I think this is going to be, if it as it stands at the moment, hopefully I don't jinx it, but this will probably be his best result of the season so far. He's always been a consistent driver, but he's never been really up at the front. But at the moment, he's doing pretty well in 5th place.
It's been quite a controlled race from John, which we have seen that he can have the occasional sort of brain explosion, really, to make mistakes. But he's doing a very controlled race right now. He is gaining on Suelio Almeida right now, but we imagine with that damage that Suelio has, it'll be a matter of when, not if, that McHutchinson does make the move. And you would imagine it would be in the Dottinger Hohe. That gap at the front now, 1.3 seconds. Walsh is really coming into this. And the question is, has Woodford, with that big push that he made once he got past Almeida, has he used up his tyres too quickly?
It's possible with this car. I mean, in the early stage of the race with this car, you've got to be careful. And I think Woodford might have some damage.
Yeah, he does there. Front wing there, you can see. It's a shame we don't have the yellow pen. Oh, I'd be using it, that's for sure. There we go, there's the yellow pen. Thank you, Connery, for the our producer Connery for the yellow pen there. But he is struggling now. You can see how much time he has lost just up there, up through Mutkirv, heading in towards Steelstrecker. And Walsh, he tastes blood in the water here, Ryan.
Yeah, he's absolutely on it, and I think he realises that Woodford's got damage and he's just pushing like crazy to catch that gap. And I think, like you mentioned, Paul, it's just a case of when the move will happen, because it looks like at the moment it's definitely going to happen, and I think it's going to happen on the Dottinger Hohe.
One thing to point out, Jordan Kelly, his last lap time, you remember I mentioned there was 6 minute 24s for the two leaders. 6 minutes 22.6. Now that slipstream that he had from Almeida on the Dottinger Hohe will have helped him catch up a little bit of that time, but still, that is sensational that he is gaining on your two leaders. Tell you what, Almeida is trying his best to hang on to Jordan Kelly in front of him. He's still within a second, so even though he's got a little bit of damage as Almeida, he's doing a good job of staying in this one.
He is, and considering he's got that floor damage, he's actually not lost that much pace, considering, and he's, like you say, he's doing a good job keeping up with Kelly. And at the moment, he's still, Almeida gets a bit sideways, but he's doing a good job in 4th to hold on to that position.
So here we go then, Woodford and Walsh on board with Walsh. Up over this blind crest. It looks worse from the driving seat. Does that crest? Beloff S towards the end of the lap. Walsh just needs to hang back. He's just hanging back here. This is exactly what he needs to do. He doesn't need to rush. It's the penultimate lap of the race. There's plenty of time left in this one. Onto the brakes. Kleiner carousel for the penultimate time. Up over the top. You can see how when it spits you out there, you can maybe lose control. Through the right-hander, and then onto the Dottinger Hohe. You've got to watch out for a bump that's on the left-hand side. That's why they're going over to the right-hand side in this. Now Woodford is trying to break that slipstream, but it's asking a lot there, because here comes Walsh, pulls out to the side, up into the lead of this race then. Woodford will slot into that slipstream. And we'll have a look. I'm having a look at the timing screen, by the way, racespot.tv/timing. Keep up to date with everything going on. You can see cars moving around further back as well. That's the McHutchinson and Gross battle as well. Those two battling it out, and they're actually gaining on Almeida and in towards Tiergarten. Look at Kelly now. Jordan Kelly is within a second of Woodford, which means that he's within a second of your race leader as well. So it's a three-way battle for the lead. Start of your final lap. Oyster Walsh leads ahead of Ross Woodford. Jordan Kelly needs to get past Woodford as quickly as he possibly can before Walsh gets the chance to pull away. Suelio Almeida is in fourth place ahead of John McHutchinson, who's all over his gearbox, and with Dominic Gross right behind him as well. Severi Seppa, James Clay, Mitchell Ian Green, should I say, and Anne Medema, all rounding out your top 10. We have got 5 cars out the race. Nate Olsen, Pau Costa, who was your race leader at the start of the race, Martin Arnoldis, Sean Malloy, and Phil Reed, all out of this race. But Ryan, final lap, this battle is on.
It absolutely is, and I was going to say, I thought Oyster Walsh, if you got past Woodford, they would just pull away and he'd probably have this race in the bag. But as Jordan Kelly in fourth place, I think I'm going to pick him as my prediction.
Well, into Hamburg then, on the brakes, all together. Oh, Woodford locking a brake, misses the apex. He'll have to send a postcard to that one with how much he missed the apex by. Downhill in towards compression. You can't really make your way past here. It's a single line down here in towards Adenauer Forest. There's been a change of position behind these three as well. John McHutchinson up into fourth place, but we'll keep an eye on this battle here. Woodford, he's in that tricky position. He's attacking one car in front, but defending from the other here, Ryan.
Yeah, and Oyster Walsh, he's having to keep an eye on his mirrors, and I think it might be distracting him a little bit. And Woodford's having to keep an eye on Kelly, and fantastic racing between these top 3 guys. I thought Woodford was going to lose it there for a second, but again manages to hold it. And I have to say, Jordan Kelly's put on a really great race. He's not done anything special, but he's just kept out of trouble up in the top 3. And this is fantastic racing. It's so hard to predict a winner.
Well, it's so tricky at this track. It's a narrow, old circuit. And these drivers are on the ragged edge. Woodford getting his line wrong there through the left. Downhill into Exmuller. Through the left, uphill again. Right, carry the speed through this corner. Head towards the louder left. He doesn't need to panic here. In fact, no, they've gone past the louder left. They're heading... Oh, no, there's the louder left, should I say. They're now heading through Bergwerk. He needs to get past, I feel... Oh, Walsh is into the wall! Walsh is wide! Has he got any damage? It doesn't look like it. It looks like he's come unscathed. And, well, all of a sudden, your race lead battle is between Jordan Kelly and Ross Woodford. Woodford is going to lose first place to Jordan Kelly up into the lead of this one. Sensation! I was saying about how tricky this circuit is, and we've seen one leader lose the lead and crash off. Walsh was very close to ending his race right there, but through up the hill towards the carousel for the final time. Woodford and Kelly absolutely together, no gap between them. And Walsh, he must have the damage. He must have damage with how much McHutchinson is holding on here, Ryan.
Yeah, looking at the replay of Walsh now to see what happened, and he turns in, and we can't see anything because of the trees. As he just nudges the wall with his left front.
Yeah, so what's happened there is the bottom of the car has bottomed out, acted like a canoe on that curb, and it's just fired him off into the wall. He may have a slight bit of damage there to the car, which is what's potentially going to slow him down here. He's got McHutchinson all behind him, but look at how close McHutchinson and the rest of this queue of traffic have got to this lead battle. This lead battle, it's not over yet. They've got to be careful. Walsh, Woodford's round! Woodford! Oh, Walsh into him! Oh, nothing that Walsh could do there. Huge accident on the final lap. Your former race leaders getting together, and that's all Woodford losing control. He was desperate to stay ahead. He got on the curb, and again, it acts like a canoe. Nothing that he could do, nothing that Walsh could do there.
Absolutely not. It's all kicking off in on the final lap, rather, Paul. And you know who has benefited? Jordan Kelly in the lead, and no one's behind him, and he's got no pressure.
You can see how Walsh is out of control there almost, and he's onto the brake. Well, where do you go? You can't go anywhere. It's that narrow, and it's too late. Into the car, into the other car. I can tell you, Jack Hobbs has stopped somewhere out on track as well. So he's had an issue. He's stuck. He's beached the car. Can he keep it moving? Come on. Come on, Jack. You can do it. No. He's stuck. And that's before the carousel. He's trying desperately to get moving. Well, nobody wants to finish in the lead of this race here as we look at Jack Hobbs, see what happened to him. Oh, yeah, just lost the back end, and he's reversed it. Now, what he'll have done here is reversed it to try and avoid other people, and that is what got him beached. James Clay has stopped out on track as well, but it doesn't matter because we're on the Dottinger Hoa for the final time. Battle for third place. Dominic Gross and Suelia Almeida for the final time. Down the Dottinger Hoa. Can Almeida get past on this last lap of the race? In towards Tiergarten for the final time. I think Gross has got it because of that damage to Almeida. So we'll look forward to the front of your field because for the final time through Tiergarten, it's going to be Jordan Kelly who wins the race here in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. Friday prime time. What a drama-filled end to the race right there for you all to see. It's McHutchinson. John McHutchinson finishes in second place. He gained 4 positions in that race. Dominic Gross in third place ahead of Sueli Almeida. Severi Seppa, he'll be delighted to get himself back up into 5th place in this race. And now, Ryan, we get the joys of waiting for everybody to come across the line here. Now, James Clear did have an incident on this last lap, and I'm just wondering what happened to him.
Yeah, just looking at the replay, and it looks like he's got a right rear damage and steering damage as well. Oh, as he spins round, and it looks like he might have just lost it and tagged the wall.
Well, let's have a look. Oh, please don't say this is at the Kleiner Carousel. If it is, oh, yeah, and I can tell you now from experience, I did exactly the same thing as him. Not once, but twice on Tuesday night when I was doing official races here. So that is Clay around. Frank and Goyen as well we have lost on this last lap. Nobody wants to finish this race here. Frank has had something happen to him. I mean, we'll have to. We're trying to find it for you because we've got a bit of time to kill here, Ryan, before the end. And that striking car, that livery there, the Canadian. Well, what's happened to him? We can't really tell. We'll have to wait and see what happens and react to it, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the replay now, and I'm just trying to figure out myself what happened to him. And say it looks all fine at the moment, and turns in, looks fine here. And they.
Oh, don't say it's at the Kleiner Carousel. Don't say it's another victim of the Kleiner Carousel. Here we go then. Left. Oh, and into the corner. Well. We've waited until the final lap, and we've got 2 victims of the same corner on the final lap. That's unbelievable. We've still got Jean-Michel Noyon out there. Jack Hobbs, I believe, has got back up and running again. So he's still running out there. He's got a half-used car there. That's not going to go back onto the forecourt, that's for sure. I don't know whether he'll actually make it to the end of the lap with that engine damage that he's got there. Also, Paul Ilbrink is still out on track as well, but he's a lap down on everybody because of him starting from... he missed the start of the race and started 1 lap down on everybody here. But Ryan, we'll bring you in while we wait for the final few drivers to come across the line here. What a race at the front of the field. It had everything. We had Pau Kelster to start with, throwing it off the track on lap 2. We then had Walsh and Woodford end up going out of the race. Woodford getting damage, which lost him the lead in the first place. Walsh ending up in the wall at Bergwerk on that final lap. Nobody wanted to win this one.
Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. That was a fantastic way to end the season, but that race was just... it was all calm in the early stages of the race and halfway through the race, but closing stages it just all kicked off, and it looked like no one wanted to win this race, but no one wanted to finish on the podium. But I have to say that the top three result was a great way to round out the season, and it's good to see different people on the podium for a change. Not that I'm against anyone like Swelly or Ross or Oyson being on the podium, but it's just the proof that this series provides great racing, and that was a great example of it.
Well, absolutely. Jack Hobbs is coming down. He's the last of your runners. This is the guy that we're waiting for to finish before we can finally give you your race results. Because of the way that our graphics work, we just have to wait for this final car to stop for it to give you the correct order of running. But quickly to point out as well, Jordan Kelly, 7 positions to gained in that race to end up as the winner here, Ryan.
Fantastic drive, and he just, again, he kept out of trouble. He just kept his nose clean. He was there to pick up places when he had to, and he was right there to pounce and pick up the lead and hold on until the very last corner. And a very, very well deserved victory and my driver of the race.
Well, here we go then. Jack Hobbs with his battered and bruised car and a bruised ego as well after getting it stuck on the curb comes across the line to finish this race. And that means that we will finally be able to give you your race results here. And what a thrilling final lap it was. We had Ross Woodford, we had Oyson Walsh lead, but in the end it's Jordan Kelly who wins this one from +7 positions on the grid, on where he started the grid. John McCutcheon up 4 places in second place, along with Dominic Gross, who finished third. Good podium that. All of those drivers gaining positions. Suelia Alameda, we're feeling a little bit disappointed with how that one's gone because I tell you what, he had that damage earlier on and it just cost him so much. Severi Seppa lost a position overall in the race, but it could have been so much worse for him if others hadn't have had that bad luck. Mitchell Ian Green in 6th place ahead of Anna Medema in 7th. Philip Lauer 8th ahead of Fabio Berchtold in 9th. And Jettel Larsen rounding out your top 10. 11th, Eric De Silva. Samuel Ryman, good shout out to him, by the way. He started in the pits for this race. He's even admitted he was the slowest out there, but he got a really good result. Plus 9 positions in that race for him. Jean-Michel Noyon in 13th ahead of Jack Hobbs, who limped it home 4 minutes 52 seconds behind your leader, and that is the last of your drivers who finished on the lead lap. Oyson Walsh finished in 15th ahead of Ross Woodford. Thank you for that, Connery, for changing that screen. James Clay in 17th as well. Finished 1 lap down. Frank Ngoyen, Paul Ilbrink and Nate Olsen, with Pau Costa, Martin Arnoldis, Sean Malloy and Phil Reed rounding out your full 24 car grid. Well, what can we say about that race? That had everything. It was absolutely fantastic. And Ryan, I mean, we touched on it. There was a lot of drivers who gave some good displays out there. I do want to give a quick mention to as well, though. Mitchell Green, 14 positions gained in that race. Great drive from Mitchell.
Yeah, he put in a fantastic drive, and he kept out of trouble as well, and we never really saw much of him for most of the race. But again, he finished in the top 6 and one of the drives of the race as well, right up there with Jordan Kelly. And it was so hard to predict a driver of the race, but for me it has to go to Jordan Kelly. But if it was a hard charger award, I would say Maxwell Green gets it for me. Yeah,
absolutely. Brilliant result for him as well. One of those drivers who didn't have quite so much to look today was the man who finished in 4th place. And Ryan, we've got an interview with him, so take it away with our 4th place driver.
Yeah, Suelo Armida finishing in 4th place, and he was in the battle for the lead in the early stage of the race, and for the first half of the race basically, until it looked like he got damaged. And Suelo, not where you wanted to finish, but 4th place is still a great result. But you would have wanted to be up there challenging for the win.
Yeah, actually, I'm definitely not frustrated or feeling anything negative because it wasn't necessarily my fault. Like, everyone was breaking their wing, and we were actually talking about that in the forums and how not to break it. I had my car very high on the fronts, right height, and still, this was the weirdest damage that I got because I didn't even hear a sound or anything. I was actually being very careful when entering the carousel. So I'm actually happy with my performance because I bought this track this week. I had like 4 or 5 days of practice. On the beginning, I was like 10 seconds slower, and with a little bit of practice here and there, and here and there, I was getting up to pace, and I finally got to a very competitive pace. So I'm actually happy that I got to learn this track, and whenever he had the opportunity to drive here again with any car, I will be already at least familiar with it. And I was P1 because Paul Costa actually had an accident, but it was probably his mistake. So we should not attribute that to the carousel damage that was almost random. So I'm happy that I did not do any kind of bad mistake that cost me the entire race. And the race with Ross and Eising was really, really, really tough and fun. Actually, it was very good. And unfortunately, us three, we got the damage. But yeah, very happy with the week. Not really good for my I rating though. I think I did like 3 races and I crashed in one, and not really good to lose like more than 100 points here. But yeah, definitely worth the purchase, the practice, and a little bit of fun before breaking the wing.
And that battle with Ross and Oyson that you mentioned, what was your plan when you were battling with them? Was it just kind of they just if they got by you, just stay behind them until the on back straight, or was it just try and maybe stay in front of them? What was the strategy with regards to that?
Initially, we always want to be at the front, but I was really having trouble with the sector 7 and 8, and these come right before the long straight, so they would catch me and always almost pass me on the big straight. So that was a real problem for me, and I was actually waiting for the next laps to see if I got a little bit of time there or if I could think about a strategy to save me from that situation. But when Oising got his damage, I did a big mistake of giving draft to Ross when they were fighting behind me, and I think initially it was to really make them keep fighting and giving draft to Oising so they could so Oising could slow down Ross or something like that, but it didn't work out because I also got damaged anyways. So yeah, initially to try to stay in front, and actually I didn't really know what to do. I was actually waiting for the next laps to decide.
And with the final question regarding the season and how you think it's went for you, has it met your expectations, or do you think there was any areas you could have improved on? And also with regards to next season, are you planning to race this car in series again, or are you looking into doing something different?
Well, this is a very, very difficult question because I am going to do the data packs for the Majors Garage for the Formula 3, for the Formula 3.5, and for the Formula 1, the new McLaren. And I'm also going to race the LMP2. So I'm going to be racing those 4 cars every week. And it's going to be difficult for me to race the Indy Pro, although I really, really love this car and I like how I clicked with it, how I drive well here. Probably more than any other car. And I will eventually be doing some races here and there, but I think I would not be able to give the same amount of focus that I had this season. I'm really happy though that this car is just great. I think this feels so natural to drive. The tire model is insane. It's so good. I really can feel the car. I'm really sliding all the time and like controlledly sliding, and it really feels natural for me. It feels like so much fun, and yeah, I really love this car.
Well, Swello, again, congratulations on fourth place. It's not where you wanted to finish, but it's still a great result to round out the season. And we'll look forward to seeing you on track in the new season.
Yeah, thank you.
as that was fourth place, Willie Armida, joining us in the booth. And Paul, he says he won't be might find it a bit difficult to race next season in this series, but again, he's been one of those people that's been really quick, and if he does come back and maybe on a part-time basis, I think he'll still be one of those people to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it certainly would be really competitive, and as he said himself, clicking with that car straight away really helped with him. And his performances showed throughout the season here that we saw on Friday primetime. And final thoughts then about not just tonight, but the season as a whole here, Ryan. First season with the car on the service. What have been your takeaways of this?
I think it's been a fantastic season, considering it's a first season for the car, and it's still relatively a new car in a way, and people are still getting to grips with it. But I think overall the race has been great, and the Indy Pro 2000 has been a great addition, and the community has been one of the best, and the race has been fantastic. There's been respect between the drivers, and I think next season is going to be even better.
Absolutely, and I will say one of my personal highlights of this season of Friday Primetime was that sensational last lap at Sebring. It was unbelievable. We made a little highlights video of that as well for the Racebot TV social media. But a couple of things, final notes to point out here before we head off into the broadcast. We are going to be taking a week off for Friday Prime Time next week because it is the week 14 build. Yes, we have got a leap week for the iRacing schedule on this season. So we're going to be having a week off. And then the week after that on Friday nights will be another Friday night series. What it will be, we don't know yet. We've yet to choose. But make sure you keep in touch on the Racebot TV social media channels for all details of what we'll be bringing you next season on the Friday Prime Time. But with that, well, time to wrap things up. So, as always, thank you very much to Ryan Walker, who has been the faithful hand here on this season's Friday Prime Time. I've missed a couple of the races here and there, but I've been here tonight. Thank you also to Connor and Maddock behind the scenes, as always, throughout this season of Friday Prime Time. Done a great job behind the scenes, as always. I've been Paul Smith. It's been Isfank Bello, trackcams22.com for your track cameras. If you want to have camera packs that look a little bit like our broadcasts, make sure you check out that website. But from myself here on Friday Prime Time, it's so long, and see you next season. Bye now.